down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
What's going on, Savvy investors? I don't know if you've missed me, but I have missed you. I have been in the trenches deep in a commercial property, which I probably should do a podcast on. If you're interested in commercial real estate, let me know. Maybe I should throw that one out there. I just been grinding it out, been out of town, trying to get stuff done, and man, looking super duper forward to Ohio RIA. If you got nothing going on October 30th, if you're in that northern region, let's hang out. I'm doing a full day class at the Ohio Convention, the annual summit. It's going to be live. I'm working on all new material, pouring my whole heart into this deal. This is taking a lot of my time. I forgot what it takes to write legitimate material and not just come up with just boo stuff and the real deal. So, of course, I got a propensity for pain. I was in Colorado for fall break with my children, which was an interesting thing. If there's any people in Colorado that want to invest, I'm about it. I think there's some areas that are undeveloped that need some real estate investors up in that joint. So if that's you're in Colorado or you got some cash you want to invest, I know some assets that need to be gobbled up, and I would love to chat with you about that. Second thing is, just so you know, we're getting on 600 episodes, and this has all been free, all been for you. And for my compensation, someone brought this to my attention. I thought this was live. Ask people to tell other people about your podcast. And I was like, I never thought of it that way. If you want to give back and if you received anything through these podcasts, let people know, like share it with your homeboy. Someone told me the other day that he shared it with his homeboy. And I was like, wow, I was just humbled. But it's really cool that sometimes some things that flow out of my overzealous mouth could impact people. And it takes great friends to remind me that this is a platform to help people, to encourage people to find financial freedom. So that's you, and you should believe it. You could do it. I did it. Why not? If you don't know my story, I could tell you on another time, but I started out like everybody else, naked and born broke. And you can strive to reach any pinnacle that you want to. You might need the resources from soliciting help, but it's possible. My simple dream was just to own a house. It's phenomenal that I have over 200 something units that I can call home. Anyway, not to brag, but to say that one day I was homeless and no longer need to be. And there's this thing called cash flow that rolls in off of real estate and other business and ventures is just phenomenal. And what makes me any special than you? Nothing. I just read a few books and someone brought that to my attention the other day. They're like, you put it into action. And so, man, this may be your thing today, put it into action. So I was up in Colorado hanging out, actually looking at some assets and just soaking in this thing called the Garden of the Gods. You need to check that joint out, or the Manitou Springs. You need to do the incline. I don't know. It was like over 2,700 steps. It was worth it to do it next to your children, to encourage them that they reached a milestone. When you get on top of a mountain, that you did it. And so that's life in general. You can do it. Well, while I was there, my young daughter is been real savvy with her money, and she saved her money. And she's like, Daddy, let's go to a thrift store. And I was like, I'm about it. And remember, I'm going back to my old ways of how did I get here? So I've been reading like a big dog, reading everything, just soaking it in, every audiobook and get my hand on every book I could read at night. And I came across some books, and I gobbled up these 2 books. One of them I'm going to do a podcast on. And another one was 101 Ways You Should Tell Your Teenager Before They Leave the Crib. And I was like, man, that's a really good idea. So I was super inspired by reading this book. It's just a little cheeseball book about, 101 things that you should tell your teenager before they leave the nest. And I was like, okay, what about 1,001 things every real estate investor should know? And then things just started flowing out of me. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. I mean, what would this do for people if I just wrote down 1,000 tips, 1,000 things that I wish you could get a whole 20-year career in a couple of hours of audio. And I was like, that's how you scale. And it's interesting. So I just been aware and, coaching a few people, some really young investors that, man, didn't know certain things. And I was like, wow, you didn't know that. And I realized, I got to remember, I may have been doing this game for 20 years, barely making it. And some people never even heard of certain words. And so I was like, I need to break this off. So last night I was fooling around. I shouldn't be doing this. I should be working on my Ohio stuff. And I started writing on this new book I'm trying to do called 101 Things Every Real Estate Investor Should Know. And so let's start off. I got 12 or 11 of them. And if these impact you, or if you found one out of these 11 that you've never heard about, please let your boy know. And I will continue on the other 990. If you've heard all this before, let me know anyway. Just text your homeboy, and I would be greatly appreciated if you let me know. And you may ask, what phone number to text? Well, let's start off with this one, 405-633-2528. That's 405-633-2528. It's my personal Google Voice number. Holla at your boy at that number. If you got my personal cell phone number, hey, holla at me at that number too. But just let me know. So number one, buying, and these are not in order. These are just random thoughts. Buying investment property near an apartment building is a no-no. Usually people that are living in an apartment building are scoping out. And so I was teaching a young investor, driving by one of my first properties, and I was like, man, when I bought this property, there was no this apartment complex next door was vacant. And then someone bought it up, turned it into Section 8 drama. And this house on the corner that I own got broken into a lot. And so rule number one, I guess you could say, or things you should know, be very cautious on purchasing property next to an apartment building. For some weird reasons, apartment people can look out their window and scope out and watch you and figure out when you're coming, when you're going. So stay away from apartments, buy apartments, gobble up all the apartments you can own. But don't be buying properties near apartments. Number two, you should know the quickest way to get people out of your property, which is called cash for keys. Cash for keys, you know this already, is that you basically pay them to move out. You incentivize them. And a homeboy just called me a little while ago, and he just said the exact same thing, where some drama happened in a property, and to the degree where their animal passed away and died, and blah 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 blah. And he called me and he's like, I paid him $2,000 and they walked. And I said, dude, way to go, cash for keys. That's how you do it. But did you get him to sign off and release you? And that's where he kind of needed to get some education on. So I need to put that on here. Get a release. Ooh, I'm gonna write that down right now. I'm gonna put you on pause. Get a release in writing. Okay, so I'm gonna throw that one on there. What's the next one? You should know and understand not to pronounce yourself as a landlord or the owner of the property. You distinguish yourself as a property manager or an asset manager for a corporation that actually owns the assets that you're trying to lease. Basically, never tell anyone you own property, period. Even my property manager, my young property manager that's been working for me about 2 years now, mentioned something the other day. I said, hey, I was rolling by a property, and I was like, yo, girl, you need to contact this house and let them know they got some stuff they need to remove. She said, oh, okay, I'll just tell them that the owner drove by. No, you don't tell them the owner drove by. You tell them that the handyman was in the area and saw that you had loose trash and a barbecue thing on the side that looks flumpy. You need to move it, okay? Never let anyone know that you own property. It's a liability issue. You want to have some space between you and the tenant. For example, I remember when I was a young property manager or landlord, whatever you want to call it, and a gal was like, can I get a new fan put in? And I was like, ooh, hold on, let me call the office. So I went to my pickup truck, acted like I made a phone call, called myself and said, okay, and went back out. Yeah, I got it approved from the office. Number 4, you as a real estate investor should always consider all the pros and cons of the document that you're reading or about to sign. You should read your mortgage and your insurance document forward and backward. Now, listen, obviously, if you know me well enough, I don't got time to be reading some mortgage and some insurance docs, but I do have a couple extra $100 here or there. and I can teach you how to make a couple $100 there and there. I taught some young boy today how to do it. I paid someone to read my insurance. One time, a little tip for you, that I was moving from Shelter Insurance and taking on a new insurance company, and I wanted to know the difference between the two. What was the, and it come to what was not just the price. Everyone looks at the price, but ultimately what's going down. And I paid this dude a couple $100. He read that, he gave me this synopsis of what the difference is, and it was a smarter move for me to move on to a different insurance company. So, but ultimately you are responsible, and you need to be very understanding of what documents you're signing and what's the long-term effect, even a master lease. So that could be another thing. As an investor, you should listen before you speak. If you ask the right questions, your tenants will tell you exactly what you need to know. For example, when purchasing a property, I usually bounce up on the property, and I'm usually like, hey, I'm the property manager and I work for this company, and I'm going to be handling your work orders. And before we even get started, is there anything that I need to be aware of that might need to be repaired? And then I just be patient and I listen. And then sometimes I might have to change my voice and to get them talking, but I try to listen exactly to every word that they say. The previous landlord or owner or whatever comes out of their mouth, their tonality. So you should remember to listen more and ask the right questions. Number 6, you should realize having a college degree doesn't warrant you to be successful in real estate. Here's the deal. You must put the time in and get things done, become the very best investor you can be. You just thinking that you're smart, or you thinking that you just graduated college, or you thinking that you're smarter than someone else doesn't already warrant you a successful real estate investor. To be a successful real estate investor, you got to put the time in, you got to read, you got to study, you got to network. Number 7, you should realize taking shortcuts and not doing the proper research on the property will cripple your success. So simple. I mean, I wrote that. I mean, remember, I wrote this like late at night, so bear with me. But there is no shortcuts to this game, okay? You could scale, but there's no shortcuts. You need to know what's going on. Number 8, you should know that hope is not a strategy. Don't hope and think that your tenant's going to pay the rent. We ensure that they're going to pay the rent or they're going to get out. There is no game. This is the judge, the court, the police. They look at you as a business professional. You need to roll as a business professional. Number 9, you should know to take pictures at every opportunity, not only when you're working with tenants, but also when you're purchasing property. Take as many photos as humanly possible. This is where I failed many times in this game. Oh yeah, I forgot. What did it look like? I'm telling you, when I roll up on a property, I take a picture. I just consciously in my mind, first of all, when I roll up on a property, I take a picture of the address, and then I take all the photos after it. Hopefully that was a tip for you. And then I take, even when I'm talking to I'm just here with the property management service. I'm just here to do the inspection. Just want to take some quick photos. Is that going to be okay? And then bang, bang. Everywhere I go, Google's free on photos. If you get a phone, you could sync Google Photos, and it would automatically sync on a Wi-Fi. Get it done. Stop fooling around. Stop forgetting to take photos. Number 10, you should always look up court documents on anyone you're working with, either a contractor, potential investor, or even the property that you're purchasing. Do they own? I'm telling you, I do this on a regular. If you and I are having a conversation, I'm Googling you up and I'm figuring out, have you been sued before? Why you have been sued before, and how did it go down? Did you win? Did you lose? And why is your name on city court records? Why am I a psycho? Well, for many reasons. I've protected a lot of people in this arena. First of all, I'm fortunate enough to help people and coach people. And I was working with somebody out of state with a ghetto roofer that was trying to take this dude to the bank. And I just did a quick few Google searches, quick few court records on demand, and found some issues with this individual. And now we know who we're playing with. Okay? Now you know. So if someone's been sued, it's okay. You know, people have speeding tickets. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person. A misdemeanor, I don't know. You know, drug, it's interesting, right? And it depends on when it happened. All of a sudden, they're the real estate guru, but they got bogus fraud charges all over the place. Think about it. Is that the person you want them to coach you? Google up everybody, research everybody, find out as much as you can about their LLC, who put their LLC together. Was it an attorney? Come on, I could do a class on that alone. When considering purchasing property, number 11, when you're considering purchasing property, make sure you consider flood zone. I'm just amazed. This is where this is all coming out, that a lot of people don't know to do their research. I'm telling you, I've gotten stung in this area where I thought I was somebody big and I bought this property with cash. Oh, $30,000, VanCauwenbergh, you doing something. This is like 10 years ago. And then about 6 years into the deal, I'm like, oh, it's time to refinance this deal. I got debt equity. I need to move this $50,000. I call the bank, I fill out the application, I get the approval, and they're like, oh, Mr. VanCauwenbergh, it's in the flood zone. Oh, Skippy. And that's why we have this episode today. Always check if it's in a flood zone. If you're a real estate wholesaler, check if it's in the flood zone. Save that investor the time and energy, because they're going to say no. When the property's in the flood zone, can you own that property? Sure. If you're got a loan on it, you're going to pay more in tax. You got to get added flood rider insurance. Now, would I buy a house with flood insurance without flood insurance? Sure. In a certain area, more Oklahoma, there's a lot of houses over there. A lot of people don't know that, in flood zones. If I had the cash and that bad boy cash, for example, if it was a $100,000 house I picked up for $55,000 and it brought in $1,200 a month, I'm going to pay cash and I'm going to just let it ride. Work with you. So no, that's your deal. No, if it's in a flood zone and it's a double cost. All right. That was number 11. What do you think? Was this a good book? Should I keep going? 990 more of these. Let your boy know. Reach out to me. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate the folks. The one guy out there in Detroit said, hey, are you okay? It's been a minute. I do apologize. I'm trying to get back on it. Hopefully we could connect in Ohio. If anything, I would love for you to write a review or tell a friend about this podcast, and enjoy your day. Go buy assets.
What is the Savvy Bootcamp? Are you struggling to get to the next level as a business owner? As an investor? Do you want to multiply your income? Sign up for the Savvy Bootcamp, a strategic and supercharged one-night and one-day event designed to shortcut your learning process and propel you forward. Just value, no upsells, and an intimate setting to build relationships with like-minded investors. We will be covering how personality profiling can make you a millionaire, outsourcing and the nitty-gritty of maximizing your property management, scaling your business through systems and automation, technology hacks you should be using every day, and how to raise private money. Go to www.savvybootcamp.com now to register or to find out more.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter @LandlordBook and always be buying assets.